right, welcome everyone. This is Chris Petrie. Thanks for coming by. Hey, you know what? We're going to have a great time. We're doing an autumn arrangement today. And it's got some beautiful colors, beautiful shapes, lots of interesting details. This is a perfect painting for everyone to just have fun with. Have fun, work quickly, just enjoy the fun of it, the shapes, the colors, the fine calligraphy, and you'll just find that it'll turn out beautiful as long as you have the main idea of the arrangement that we have in this vase. So here, this is the finished painting. You can use this. You can hit pause and work from this, draw from this, paint from this. That's what I feel is the best way to go. If you're going to tackle this painting, I would say, use this as your subject matter. So you would have this, you would pause this or take a photo of this or do a screen capture on your device and then save it, and maybe you can even print it out on a printer if you have a printer. There's all different ways to do it, obviously, but this is the thing. I believe if you work from this, you'll be able to create another painting very similar to this, and if you work from this actual painting, you'll be able to really accomplish it a lot easier than working from a photograph. So give it a try. Also, we're going to have the pencil drawing as well. So you'll see that, the finished pencil drawing. You can also work from that as well if you find you like to work from the actual pencil contour drawing, or you can also draw your pencil drawing from this and then subsequently paint it after that. Anyway, have lots of fun with this, and we're going to give you the step-by-step how to create this beautiful painting in just a minute. All right, now we're going to start. We're going to get our contour drawing started. Again, we're doing a beautiful autumn arrangement. There's some viburnum berries in here, 9-bark, smoke bush foliage. Basically just an autumn, fall type arrangement with a vase. Get into the emotion of it, the feeling of it. That's what I say with watercolors is try to, get into the emotion of things, the imagination of, it's going to be, the summer is kind of coming to a close and we're going into the beautiful autumn season. The holidays are coming up, good feelings, and that's what we're going to try to capture here as we're creating this arrangement. Let's think of just the ending of summer as we start to go into the autumn and the cooler weather, and that should be enough that we have that emotion kicking in. We're excited, and we're going to just get in here and do this, and let's do it. So I'll start off, as always, I like to just do a little bit of a few hash marks. Let's say the vase is about here. And then our so let's just say that's like maybe some leaves, and then maybe some leaves over here too. So I just want to make a few points, hash marks that I know I want to try to aim for as I'm contour drawing this scene, still life scene of these this autumn arrangement in a vase. And that's about all we need, really. We're pretty much we're set after that. So let's start out. We'll do our vase here very lightly. And since I'm just going to make the vase a little bit higher. No worries, once in a while if you start something and you think you want to change it, you just a kneaded eraser, erase a pencil line if you have to. This way I'm going to start to just here with contour drawing, you're really just looking back and forth at your photograph or whatever you're working from. In this case, you're going to be working from my finished painting. So, of course, you just saw my finished painting. That's what you'll work from. Or if you want to hit pause when you see me finished with my contour drawing, this pencil drawing, you can also stop the tape, stop the video in the middle after I'm done completing the drawing and use that too as well. But I always, in the beginning of the video, I always have the finished painting to start with, so you can kind of see the finished painting, what it looks like, and you can work from that if you want to and draw from that. Sometimes it's easier to draw from the finished painting, and I think it's always best to, if you're a watercolor artist and you're new to watercolor, or you've been maybe the first 3 to 5 years you're working in watercolor, I think it's best to always try to work from finished watercolor paintings versus trying to work from photographs or simple things like still life. Yes, you can work. I would say work from those things, like, if you want to set up a simple flower arrangement or some fruits, but to go out and start trying to tackle really big paintings, I think it's better to start out painting from actual finished watercolor paintings from the old masters. Let's say you want a Winslow Homer. Wow, I painted a number of paintings from Winslow Homer when I first started. I started using those as my guide. So just an idea if you want to use that as a focus for your learning and your watercolor journey. It's great to work from finished watercolor paintings. You learn so much, and it's a lot easier, I think. So here we're going to continue, and I'm just having fun. I'm drawing the leaf shapes, and there's some berries here. And it's hard for me to kind of describe what I'm doing. I'm just really looking back and forth at my photograph that I'm working from, and just trying to at certain times I think to myself here, if I'm getting the main idea of everything, some more berries. These are the viburnum berries. And these are the very, very fine bits of foliage here. One more there. Okay, that should be good. I'll put some more berries over here. And all right, that looks pretty good. And if you think you've made too many pencil marks somewhere, no big deal. Just erase a little bit. I think this looks okay. Looks good. So we have our vase and our autumn arrangement here. We're going to have lots of fun. So that's the contour drawing. I'm basically just following what I see in front of me in the photograph, and then just trying to copy and draw from what I'm seeing very loosely. I'm not taking too much time. I'm just kind of getting the overall sense of the way the angles of the leaves and the twigs and the stems. We put a couple hash marks so that we know we were aiming for that hash mark going up this way with this long stem with leaves on the end of that. Same with here, we were trying to aim for this over here. And then this was kind of easy. It just came pretty much to the side here, these leaves and berries over here to the side. That was just pretty much straight out from the top of the vase. And some leaves here that were hanging over the top of the vase, the rim of the vase. And then I put in some berries here and there where I saw them. So essentially, I did notice I need to fill in a few more leaves here. And I think that's pretty good. Okay, let's take a break. This is the finished pencil drawing, the contour drawing, and we'll start our painting just in a second or two. We'll take maybe a 5-10 minute break. Okay, this is the contour drawing portion. Welcome everyone. Thanks for coming by. Glad you made it here. We're going to have a great time. We're doing an autumn arrangement. It's a beautiful time to do a really nice autumn feel. It's the end of the summer. Let's get into it. Let's get into the motion of this here. We're going to get excited. We're going to create this beautiful painting. You can do this in a really large format. You can do it in this smaller format like we're doing here. This is like an 8 by 10 approximately. You can do this in a 20 by 30. The only thing you have to do is just you're going to draw larger, and you're going to use a bigger brush and a bigger palette with more room to mix more paint. That's basically it. Like if you're going to enlarge your works and your paintings, all you have to remember is you're going to use larger paper, a larger palette with a bigger mixing area, and a bigger, larger brushes. You have to use larger brushes as you go. But this is the drawing, so if you want to hit pause or take a picture or a screen capture, however you want to do that. And then we'll also, we also just had on, just a second ago, we showed you the finished painting. So that you can work from that as well too. You might have an easier time drawing from a finished painting than you will from this, but you might like to draw from this as well too. Okay, so we saw the finished painting to start with. We also saw the finished contour drawing, pencil drawing. So you basically have a good idea of the building blocks of how we're getting to the next point of finishing up this painting and getting the colors on and the washes on. The main thing I think here is this is somewhat of a, it's an 8 by 10 approximately size as far as the paper size. It's Arches satin paper. That's the pink cover. I like to just show everybody the paper I'm using. So this is Arches. And that's satin paper. And it's watercolor block, which is really nice. You just paint on it. It's gummed around the edges so that when you're painting and then it dries, it goes back to a flat state once it's dry. So once it dries, it flattens back out again. And then when you're completely done with the painting, you just trim off the one page, the top page, and then you can start on another new fresh sheet on below this one. So it's really a nice way. This way you don't have to stretch your paper or worry about stretching anything as far as paper goes. You just work on this, and then when you're done, you just trim it off, and you can start another painting right on the top of the next sheet. Okay, so now the main thing here I think is, we're going to use brushes that are going to match the size of our painting. So I'm using this is a number 5 Da Vinci travel brush, Kolinsky Sable round brush. Has a good point on it. We need a good point for these. This autumn arrangement, there's a lot of pointy shapes and fine foliage here. So I'll also use a beautiful needlepoint brush. And I think that's really good. So if we have, like a needlepoint brush and a round brush, smaller round brush with a good point, we can pretty much get this completed as is. So we'll start out the fresh clean water. We're going to use the autumn colors, so that's going to be we can kind of pick like a green, alizarin crimson, sap green, we also have some cadmium red here. We could put the cadmium red up here maybe. And a little bit of orange, cadmium orange. What else do we have here? Purple. I think some ultramarine violet, purple color. And some yellow ochre too as well. So we kind of got onto the palette our basic colors we're going to use, which would be ultramarine violet, sap green, alizarin crimson, and some yellow ochre. So if we kind of keep these colors in mind, this is really the basics of the color scheme we're going to use. We can add in some ultramarine violet too as well. And I'll start out and we're going to get the darks in. A couple splashes. So we're going to start with our darks. I'm going to do some of the foliage here, some of the leaves. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to keep working. We need those nice pointy shapes, so let's remember to get those as we're working on these leaves. And what's fun about these type of paintings is there's so much incredible detail that it actually gives you a break where you don't have to really worry too much about the details because there's so many of them. If you just capture some of the details here and there, you're fine. And we'll just keep mixing up more. French ultramarine blue, sap green, alizarin crimson, yellow ochre, and we have ultramarine violet. This is an autumn foliage. Here in this portion of the arrangement, there's a lot of darks, so we can, as long as we're getting some of the feel of the leaves, lots of red. I think I need to definitely add more red here and there. Lots of alizarin crimson. This is really, alizarin crimson and green seem to be the predominant colors. And thankfully we have our pencil drawing, so we just follow what we drew. And we just keep working at it. We have berries, orange and red, with a little bit of cadmium lemon yellow. So we just make some round shapes. And you can always remember to, we can go back in later and add some color to them. So if you want to make them like a lemony yellow, using the cad lemon yellow, because there is a lemony look to them, that kind of lemon look, cad lemon yellow. To these berries, use the cad lemon yellow. That's the lightest tonal value. So we add that first. And then we can come back and then add a darker red to the berries. Those are viburnum berries. And that looks pretty good. So we have the berries here. So we kind of branched out and did the berries, and we'll continue working. There's some really again, we're getting into the feeling of this, the emotion. It's the autumn time. It's autumn. It's getting cooler out. So we're happy the summer is finishing up and we're getting into the cooler weather. The holidays are coming. Family, we're having people visit by our house. It's good, fun times. And as we make up these thoughts in our mind, it helps us to have a better feeling about our paintings. And I'll mix up a little bit of a lighter green. I noticed there's a lighter green there. Here as well. So a little bit of lighter green here and there. And I'm using the very tippy point of my brush to get those points on the leaves. That's real important to capture that really sharp points of the leaves. We leave some white paper. And again, we keep mixing our sap green, alizarin crimson. I dry off my brush. Again, keep your brush a little bit dry. Once you rinse your brush, dry it off on a paper towel, a sponge, or a tissue, so that when you go back into your palette, you're not flooding your palette with all the water off of the hairs of your brush. That's a really important thing. We cover that on my channel. So if you follow my channel on a regular basis, we cover all the fundamentals of watercolor so that you can have an easier time as you paint. And I splash a little bit just to loosen up, get a couple little splashes going. And we're making good progress here. We have the bottom portion of our foliage here on our autumn foliage arrangement, and we just keep remembering to change our colors. So you constantly want to change your colors, but we're just using really 4 colors: sap green, alizarin crimson. We're also using a little bit of French ultramarine blue and some yellow ochre. And then we're also using cadmium lemon yellow with a little bit of sap green for that lighter look. But it's really not that many colors, and as long as you just keep, like, does this make sense? If you know you have 4 colors that we're using mostly, all you have to do is just remember those 4 colors, and then you're always just going back into those 4 colors and putting them onto the palette, and then just working with those 4. And you can just mix them up. You don't have to worry about, you don't have to worry too much about how much of each of the colors. You're just going to change those colors. So you can see here some more of a bluish color here, some more red through here, alizarin crimson, more of the greens here, light green here, which was the cad lemon, and the little bit of blue, or a little bit of green, sap green and cadmium lemon yellow. So if you have a really light color, you keep that separate. Your darker colors you would keep separate in this side of my palette. So you can see how my palette is kind of like, I use my palette in a way where I kind of like segregate the colors. So you have your darker colors here, the darker, French ultramarine blue, alizarin crimson, sap green. Now here I want to make sure I have a beautiful light cadmium lemon yellow with a touch of sap green over here. So I wouldn't want to put that over here because that's going to get all mixed up into here, and it'll wind up getting muddy looking. So I try to keep that. And you can go straight into your paint too as well to get those light colors. Okay, so we're going to keep working. You could take a break here if you want. We've been working about 15 minutes, but I feel like I'm comfortable. I can keep going. Here I'm going to start to just get the feeling of some feelings of the stems kind of jutting out of the floral arrangement. So I want to make sure I start to get that feel. And since we're working and there's so much detail in here, you can sort of as long as you're kind of going with the flow of things, the flow of the branches and the twigs and the you don't have to sweat all the details as long as you're kind of getting your brush flowing this way, like out, flicking the some stems, some leaves. Making sure to keep changing the colors. Lots of green, lots of alizarin crimson. Green, sap green. And then we keep an eye on the berries. We want to make sure we keep those berries round. Okay, and then we can get some really fine the smoke bush foliage. And that is very fine. You can do some speckles, some splashing, really fine speckles. You can a little bit of darker darks here. And that's good. And we have some over here. And again, I'm using my number 4, or there's a number 6 needlepoint brush. It's got a super fine point, and that's perfect for what we're doing here with this smoke bush foliage. And that's good. And we just do a little splashing. We can just get some like that. Okay, I think that's good for right now. Let's take a break. We've done a lot so far, but basically we've got the feel for it. Lots of greens, lots of reds, alizarin crimson, sap green, and then a little bit of the lights, cadmium lemon yellow, and some sap green. And we're really, really having a fun time here. And once we start to finish up here, these stems going out here to these other leaf forms up in these sections, you're going to see that the whole painting is going to come together beautifully, and then we can just basically call it good. We might do some shadowing on our vase here. Other than that, it's really going to look fantastic. Lots of white paper, and you'll see it's going to be beautiful. Okay, so we'll come right back after about a 10 or 15 minute break. Let the paper dry a little bit, the washes dry a little bit here, and we'll be back to business in just a few minutes. Okay, so we're here, we're back. We took a break. We're doing our autumn arrangement. We're in really good shape. We got our darks out onto the paper here on our watercolor paper. We were using basically our 2 brushes. We have a number 6 needlepoint brush and a number 5 Da Vinci Kolinsky Sable round brush. They both have really sharp points, as you can see, and that's really crucial for an autumn foliage scene like this, because there's a lot of those leaves and forms that need those sharp points, as well as all of the stems. And let's just keep moving along here. So we're in really great shape. We have lots of darks, and we have the bottom portion of the arrangement completed. So we're just going to keep working on this. I might change my water. I like to keep using fresh, clean water, and again, we try to keep our palette clean. We're using quite a bit of the same colors, the alizarin crimson. That I could have left there. I don't. Sometimes if you have colors and they're not too contaminated or they're not too muddy looking, you can just leave them and you don't have to wipe up the palette. But I decided to just clean up the palette a little bit, so we can do that. And no big deal if you have a little spot there, you can just add to it. So in a case like this where I see a spot on my paper, I've worked so hard to get a beautiful painting going like this, and that happens, no big deal. I would just go in and alizarin crimson, sap green, yellow ochre, and some sap green over here. I mix up our usual colors in our purple. Okay, then I would just take this and I would do an offshoot here, which would be a stem, and that's all I would do. And that smudge becomes another little interesting feature of our painting. Problem solved, and we're on to the next adventure. And here now I'm going to pick up the pace a little bit. We have some greens, predominantly alizarin crimson, I think, for this painting. It's a tie between alizarin crimson and the sap green, the green and the reds for this. And some greens and reds, alizarin crimson. You can paint out of the picture. That looks good most times. And some greens here. And I add some alizarin crimson to the wash there. A couple splashes. And let's see here, use some green here. That looks good. All right, we're having a fun time at the minimum. Again, we're getting into the motion of it. We're thinking of, we're getting juiced on the emotions of this. It's the autumn time. It's the autumn. It's getting cooler. Summertime is kind of coming to a close. That really hot, steamy weather, everyone's getting tired of it. The holidays are coming up. And then we just think, all right, autumn, or this arrangement is an autumn style arrangement with some beautiful viburnum berries and nine bark and smoke bush foliage. And we're all set. Look at that, lots of interest. This is where you really find that you have really great, interesting colors and shapes and tonal value changes where you have interesting grays, and it all works together for the whole as we're painting. We leave whites, remember to leave lots of whites here and there. White paper. You can see all the white paper that's left here. We wouldn't want to make it a large block of darks without leaving those lights. And then every once in a while you can just do a quick couple leaf forms like that where you just kind of have fun and flip the brush around, and because there's so much other detail, no one's ever going to notice that. That's the thing. When you have lots of details like this, no one's going to notice if you're every once in a while having a little wild fun with your brush and doing some fun stuff, you know. That's just how it goes with this type of a painting. You want to nail some really nice shapes for your leaves here and there. And you want to get in your stems and things really nice. But other than that, you can have some real fun with the foliage here, because it's just there's so much detail. It all kind of works works together. And then around the berries, I go a little darker. I think it's good if we go around the berries with a darker tonal value. And this way you kind of see the roundness of the berry shapes. And we're going to add some red to those. Some little bit of red spots, tonal values to the berries. That looks exciting, and that's exactly the way they look in real life. So okay, that looks good. And again, we can make some darker shapes here and there. That'll look good. Okay. Again, I'm using those same colors, repeating colors. Alizarin crimson, French ultramarine blue, sap green, purple. Again, having a really sharp point on the brush, that's really the key to this painting, I think, really. Like if you had to pick one thing to say about the painting is you have to have really like the sharp points. So you would have like your number 6 and your number 8 needlepoint brush and like a smaller number 5 or number 6 really good sharp pointed round brush to get those really sharp points here. This really makes it. Now here's where you can kind of also have some really interesting fun, adding in some really straight out of the tube paint. We have been mixing a lot of like grayish mixtures. So if you add in some really just straight out of the tube alizarin crimson here and there, that's going to look really good. And we have some more greenish colors over here. Looking fine. Let's get some more. And again, this is a number 6 needlepoint brush, and this you have to have absolutely to get this fine calligraphy into your painting. Makes the painting just, really very extremely realistic. There's some abstraction in this painting as well, but adding these really fine, incredibly fine lines will all right, that's really, I think, just right. We're going to add in some grayish mixture for the vase over here. And then we're going to slowly, a little bit of yellow ochre. And then I rinse my brush off, dry a little bit of water off, and just slowly and I try to just add in the repeating colors on that side of the vase here. That looks good. A couple splashes, maybe some green. Perfect. Okay, so that's good. I like the white paper. So let's leave that white paper in there. That looks fantastic. It's a great backdrop for the vibrant colors and the exciting shapes of this autumn arrangement. Let's take a look and see, as we pull the tape off, how we're looking. I think this is a great painting to have a lot of fun with. It's not too difficult. Again, there's a lot of detail. So when you have a lot of detail like this in a painting, you can have a lot of fun with it because you can add a lot of interesting, fun shapes here and there throughout the painting. And as long as you're having a few places where you're getting really super accurate leaves, or these there's leaves here, there's berries here, as long as you get some accurate renderings of the subject matter, then on a lot of the other parts you can have fun and just splash and do some fun brush strokes and have a good time. And then the painting becomes a lot of fun because you're not too worried about capturing every single detail, which can be a burden sometimes and be really difficult. Okay. This would look great too, again, in a large 24 by 36 painting. All you'd have to do is just up your palette size, larger paper obviously, and larger brushes. Main thing is, of course, really sharp points on your brushes. That's the key to this painting, having all these gorgeous details here. You can't get them without having the needlepoint brushes as well as a good sharp point for your round brush. You could maybe make do with a duller point on your round brush as long as you have your needlepoint brushes, but you also want to have this in your tools. As far as your brushes, you want to have a good point on your round brush so you can get all these really fine points on your leaves as you're painting them. And of course the color scheme was pretty simple. We just used the 4 colors. And we'll maybe take a closer look here. Okay, there we have it. A beautiful autumn floral arrangement. Excellent details, really exciting. You can do this small format, 8 by 10. You can do a 12 by 18, even a 24 by 36, a really super large version of this. And it's just going to look beautiful because there's so many different colors, different shapes, and different lines, thicknesses of lines, all the fine calligraphy. It'll just look great. So I'm excited for you. Hey, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, hit the button below. If you like this video, thumbs up. And also, too, I always say, hit the notification bell. This way you know each time a new video is created. I usually make a video every week, at least once a week. And then also sometimes we'll make an extra video here and there during the week. So we might have 2 videos once in a while, but we always make 1 video a week. And we do all kinds of different subject matter, of course. Seascapes, landscapes, cityscapes, floral arrangements. We do figures, everything here. So I'm glad you come by all the time and paint with us, and we'll see you on the next video.